I'm Manny.
I'm Noah.
This is Devin.
And this is No Such Thing, the show where we settle our dumb arguments and yours by actually doing the research. On today's episode, we're asking whether men should sit while they pee. We'll find out whether there are any benefits, medical or otherwise, by talking to a urologist who went viral for his take on this.
There's no such thing. No such thing. No such thing. No such thing. No such thing.
All right, so I'm watching or rewatching the greatest TV show of all time, Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Lost? Oh, okay.
Curb Your Enthusiasm. Larry's dad comes over, and he leaves the toilet seat up. And Larry goes up to him and says, "Dad, you got to put the toilet seat down." He said, "Well, you pussy whooped? You know, Cheryl's making you do that?" And he's like, "No, it's for me."
I pee sitting down. I was getting up to go at night sometimes, and I didn't feel like putting the light on, so I would sit down, and then I got very comfortable with it. You know what Winston Churchill said? Why stand when you can sit? Have you ever heard that expression?
No, I never heard that expression, but I don't think he meant in the toilet.
And then it's a plot device because later in the episode, Cheryl leaves the seat up. He falls in the toilet, and then he's walking around with a cane.
I see.
So that's
And you sit when you pee sometimes.
yes,
Me too.
Especially when I'm home, not in public. If I never sit down and pee in public, when I'm at home, I sit down and pee a lot of the time.
Yeah.
If I'm in a rush, I don't.
Yeah.
But if I'm just going to pee and I got time, I love to sit. Love to sit and
Yep.
pee.
And you
Me
do too.
Yeah, I'd say it's the only time I'm standing is if I just came in, I really need to go or something. I still have everything on.
Yep.
Then I'm running in there getting it done. But otherwise, I'd say it's 90% more.
Oh, that's hard
I'm
to me.
sitting.
90%.
Because same reason as LD, I've got magazines in there. I'm
got-
just
you got-
chilling.
we got
relaxing.
smartphones now.
Also, yeah. Who knows what else I might want to get up to when I'm in there.
Oh yeah.
You know.
You might want to go. You might want to go from one to
Keep
two.
my options open. That's all.
Might wanna
It's
go from one to
it's
two.
also like what's the rush, you know? And it feels nicer.
You can't go.
And yeah, no aiming.
Yeah.
It's cleaner and don't need to worry about the seat situation.
So then how long are you in there? You go there, you go into pee and you sit down. So how long are you in there?
it could be a minute. It can end up being 3 minutes.
Yeah. Could be 5.
Because I can, then it's like, oh, I'll finish this paragraph, get to the next line break if I need to, if I'm reading. I mean,
I don't sit when I pee, and I don't think I would. I feel like I'm just wanting to be in a bathroom as little time as possible.
What?
So why is that? Your own
Why
bathroom.
you don't like it?
You've got a beautiful, clean bathroom in
Yeah.
there.
Well, it's just, it's a bathroom. If I want to relax or whatever, I'll just go to my couch.
When you poop,
Yeah.
you do number 2.
Yeah.
You ever you done and you just hang out a little bit?
Yeah, I guess it depends if I was reading something like an article or something.
Okay.
I might stick around.
That's it.
I might maybe to get to the end of the sentence, but I'm not just hanging out
Oh,
in
okay.
there.
But you're kind of quick. End of the sentence. That's in and out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're not hanging out in the bathroom.
No, not really. I'm surprised to hear that
only
you
as
guys are hanging
necessary.
out in there.
I mean, why
Especially
not?
After a shower, might just sit down on the toilet. Put the lotion on. You might read a few articles. What's the rush? Where we
Some
go?
alone time for me.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know. In my head, the way you're describing it, I just feel like I would get the relaxation or the hanging out just somewhere else in the house.
I mean, listen, most of my hanging out is not in the bathroom. But it's just like, why stress myself out by standing and then worrying about where I'm
Is
peeing
it
and
stressful
stuff
to stand?
versus
Sometimes?
sitting in? Yeah, it's like, well, now
Where's
I need
the
to
pee
pay.
gonna go?
I need to pay attention to where this is going.
Yeah.
I can understand that part where it's probably a cleaner experience if you sit because it's going directly.
Yeah,
in.
that's
no
what I-
splashing, nowhere. Do you have a lot of lights on in your house at night?
No.
So this is a perfect reason why you should
Yeah,
go.
you can be in the full darkness.
I don't turn a light on in my house when I go pee at night.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You just go-
You don't need to turn it on because you're
not
sitting
aiming.
and you're not aiming.
You don't got to look
Exactly.
at where it went. You know where it went. You're sitting down.
There's only one place for it to go,
Yeah.
and it's going there.
This is fascinating.
When I'm standing up, then I'm like, I got to turn the light on.
It might mess up your whole night of sleep.
Yes.
Now that this bright light's
Bright
flashing
light,
in your
open my
eyes.
eyes. Ugh.
Ugh. Might as well just stay up, get
But
to
I
work,
got,
go to the office.
Some of what you guys are saying makes sense. One thing I'll take issue with is that it's easier to sit down to pee.
it is easier.
When I'm already standing.
No, you're thinking of ease as in and out.
Yeah, does it take you so long to sit down? That's
No,
what I don't get. You make it seem like it's this laborious process to sit down.
It doesn't take so long, but it takes longer.
Like
so that's all I'm saying.
I mean, half a second.
But-
This is fractional.
but that's technically harder than
But length
just standing
Technically.
up.
Length doesn't necessarily dictate hardness.
Well, because then you're spending time cleaning up in ways we don't have to.
I'm not-
Hardness.
It probably balances out. We should do a test, honestly. Stopwatch it.
In my head, I go into the bathroom. It's more streamlined to remain standing
Okay.
than like pulling my pants down, turning around, squatting down to the toilet.
Wait. In
Go.
your,
Love it.
wait,
Squatting,
in your
squatting.
own.
How are you peeing? Like
I pull my penis out from my
through the
boxers.
boxers.
Not
Through the
through
hole?
them, over the top.
Over the top. Okay.
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 I don't ever do through.
You're not in a public restroom?
In a public restroom, I'm going over the top. I'm going over the top no matter
Yeah,
where
I guess I
am.
usually am just doing that.
I guess I'm a flip.
think. It
I'm a
depends, I
switch-
guess.
switch
it might
hitter.
depend, yeah.
I could do it all.
Yeah, I'm a two-way player. Here's the difference now. We're adults.
Yes.
We
Okay,
can
yeah.
change. And I think it might be worth it for me to try peeing sitting
Yeah.
down for a while.
I
Log
think
my
you
experience.
should- exactly.
What am I trying to figure out? If it's a nicer experience.
If you like it more.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
Just see how you feel. If you feel like, oh, you're wasting time, are you getting antsy?
Yeah.
Do you actually find it comforting, or are you like just annoyed by the process?
Okay.
And I guess part of this too, right? I didn't start doing this till I was older.
Yeah.
You know, because as a kid, you're told you're a man.
Yeah, it's toxic.
Men
Toxic
do not
masculinity.
sit when they pee. That's for girls. Right?
No one told me that.
No one ever sat you
No one
down
told you
and
that?
gave you the talk.
That's not
That-
been my experience.
Then how did you learn why are you standing?
You don't think society pressured you into this?
Why are you standing?
prison-
If no one told you men
this
stand up
prison
when
of
they
standing.
pee, why do you stand when you pee? Who
I
told
s-
you that?
Well, look,
Who taught you that?
I don't know. I think we should look into like the history of this. Did men ever sit when they peed?
Is it cultural?
Like, you know,
Yeah.
We all have very different backgrounds.
Neanderthals.
I wonder if our bodies are actually designed for us to be standing when we're peeing. I know we do it for convenience sake, but I wonder if scientifically
It's better.
it would be better for us to sit down.
Yeah. My guess is it's better to sit down.
That's interesting. I think, yeah, I don't know.
And hygienically, I bet it's better too.
And then, you mentioned just a few moments ago the cultural aspect of it.
Yeah.
I wonder if around the world there are different rates of people
Yes,
sitting.
of sitting.
Yeah.
While they
So
pee.
I did look up, there's a survey from our friends at YouGov. Do we want to guess which country has the least amount of men who say they sit down every time?
The least amount?
Yeah.
I would guess like some toxically male, like the United
Oh,
States.
the least amount.
Yeah, lowest.
Yeah.
Russia.
I'll say the U.S.
It's Mexico.
Wow.
So 6% of men there say they sit down every time. A strong 36% never sit down. They would never sit down to pee.
Well, that's Manny. Have you ever sat down to pee on purpose?
Not explicitly to pee.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll go down
Just
there thinking I
incidentally,
need
yeah.
to.
Yeah, a little 1-2 combination,
But
and then only one
nothing
comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
No, but that don't count.
But I've never been like, I'm going to sit on this thing to piss.
Just pee. So you've never sat down just to pee on purpose? Not that you could remember.
Not that I can remember.
Wow.
No.
This is gonna be. You have to record the first time you do
Yeah, I
it.
can't wait to hear this.
We need
Yeah.
we need to be in the room.
Yeah, I'll take a video.
Yeah. The flip side is the country with the most men who sit down to pee.
Gotta be a Scandinavian country.
Germany.
Oh,
40% every time.
every time.
40%?
Versus 10% never. So that's interesting. I mean, Germany,
I wonder if bathrooms in Europe are cleaner than they are here.
Oh, definitely.
at
Right?
least like maybe.
public ones.
Probably.
Yeah, probably more infrastructure set up for it.
Does
Germany,
Germany
they
have-
like to follow rules and, be very rigid in some ways. So,
Has there, any of us been in Germany?
yeah, I
I've
have.
been to Germany, yeah. The big train station in Munich. I was in an overnight train. I needed to take a shower, and I heard that there was a facility in the train station where you could take a shower. And I'm running around trying to find it. But I'm imagining the most disgusting thing ever. Like if you told
Yeah.
me in Grand Central there was a
Oh
shower,
my god, yeah.
yeah, you're getting like
You're gonna be dirt-
typhoid or something.
You're gonna be dirtier at the end of the shower than when you started.
But I got to the place and it was pretty clean. Yep, it was like 4 showers for men, 4 showers for women, and bathrooms surrounding it, place was pretty clean.
It seems like it had been washed within the last,
Yeah, I think they're just more attentive to that stuff. Okay, so 40% of Germans pee sitting down.
Yeah.
I wonder if, are there benefits to it? Like beyond you guys feeling comfortable when you pee? What are some of the...
So are there health benefits, hygiene benefits?
Let's do two things.
Okay.
Let's figure out if men should be sitting when they pee. And then the second thing is I'm going to keep a record of maybe 1 week long.
Yes.
If I'm at my apartment, I'll sit down to pee.
Yes.
And I'll just kind of log my experience.
I want you,
share it with you guys.
take some voice memos.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Talking through your sitting down, especially the first time you do it. I really want to hear the experience.
Yeah. All
I
right.
want to hear it in the background.
I think you're going to like what you find.
Okay. All right, after the break, we'll be hearing from a urologist about whether men should sit down when they pee. All right, we're back. I'm Manny.
I'm Noah.
This is Devin.
Last time we were here, we talked about men sitting versus standing while they pee. You both like to sit.
Love sitting.
Always.
I like to stand. But when I was looking for an expert who could tell us whether we should be sitting, one name just kept coming up.
Yes, so it's Gerald, known as Jerry Collins. I'm a consultant urological surgeon. I have been for quite a few years now. I'm from Ireland, as you probably gathered, but I'm based in Manchester in the UK.
So Dr. Gerald Collins is a urologist who went kind of viral, no pun intended. There were all of these articles with titles like, "You've been peeing wrong your whole life," and they cited him talking about like the anatomical process of peeing. But I interviewed Dr. Collins, and the more I talked to him, the more I realized that these headlines were kind of misleading, which we will get to later. But first, I want to play a soundbite from the interview that kind of captures just how many people care about this topic.
I was interviewed by The Telegraph, and my sort of initial reaction was, well, this is one of those little quirky bit of fun type questions. But it ended up in a sort of full page spread on the Sunday Telegraph. And then I was contacted by BBC Scotland, and I was contacted by other people. And I was even contacted by Radio New Zealand. So clearly it caught the public imagination, which things do, and sometimes bizarre things do. When I looked into it a little bit, there was a lot more to this than I initially was expecting.
So then I was curious about where this kind of fascination began.
Population surveys were what started this off, really. And in the last few years, something like 40% of Germans sit down to void. And in fact, there's been some public health initiatives there encouraging them to do so. Apparently, some public toilets in Germany have some sort of electronic prompt requesting the male to sit. So in the UK, 24%. So 1 in 4 people sit to void. So that's quite a high. If you'd asked me my guess on that, before I knew that, I would have said maybe 10%, something like that. And then you look at Japan, where 70% sit to void. So it turned out that this was a far more relevant issue than perhaps I or indeed many others appreciated.
70% of men in Japan. I mean, they weren't even in the YouGov survey, so congrats to them on yet another innovation. Around the world, it sounds like more and more people are sitting to void, as he says. And for the listeners, to void just means to pee. I think it's like the medical way to say it.
We're a silent majority.
Yeah.
Or, something like that.
A silent super majority. I think it is fascinating as someone who would much prefer to stand. There is clearly a wave of sitting peers growing around the world. And so naturally my next question is why? Why is that happening?
To answer that question, I think there's two elements to look at, really. One is the target, and the other is the peer, if you want. So the target, let's assume the target's a toilet bowl. I think it's to do with this concept of, is there an infection risk to you or others? Well, if you stand and pee into a toilet bowl, what's happening. Well, what's happening there is you've got a static reservoir of liquid in the bone. So if you direct a forceful stream into that, you will agitate that reservoir of organisms or bacteria, and you will generate droplets, just like me speaking or you speaking now. And those droplets will have the ability to travel a considerable distance, 1-2 meters, whatever. So in theory, you could rationalize that anything within that orbit will be contaminated.
Dr. Collins tells me that there is probably more contamination happening when you stand to pee, but he also wants people to ask themselves what contamination means to them. All day, every day, we're exposing ourselves to various forms of bacterial contamination, and it might just be the case that when we stand to pee, that level of contamination, when compared to the rest of our days, is probably only a drop in the bucket or toilet bowl.
Contamination that you will get from a strong flow into a toilet bowl is negligible in my view.
He's saying that one of the biggest reasons why more people are sitting while they pee is essentially to avoid this contamination that's happening in bathrooms, where you're directing your pee into the static reservoir of water in the toilet bowl, and then that is causing germs and bacteria to be spread about. And so if you want a cleaner environment, you could sit down while you pee. And
is that because there's less distance between the stream isn't as powerful?
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two is that when you're sitting, your stream is not going directly into that water. It's going into the front of the toilet.
True.
And then it's trickling its way down.
Yeah.
It's a much quieter experience usually.
True.
Yeah.
You want to keep hush-hush.
Yeah. My sensitive ears.
Now, he tells me that the level of contamination that happens, like he was saying at the end there, is pretty negligible. Yeah. But if you're these societies around the world and you don't care if it's negligible, you just want to be cleaner, then you're going to direct your citizens to sit down while they pee.
That makes sense. I mean, it reminds me of what, he's explaining the spread of these things, and it reminds me of those early COVID graphics.
Yes,
where
the
it's the two people talking and, all the particles.
Just like spitting on each
so
other.
obviously similar sort of effect here.
So like we were talking about the other day, I wanted to ask him whether there were actual health benefits. Like maybe the level of contamination is negligible, but are there other reasons you would want to sit while you pee?
Yes, definitely. It would be BPH, stands for benign prostatic hyperplasia. What happens is when you hit your 40s, the prostate starts to enlarge in the vast majority of men, and that's due to a changing hormonal environment within the prostate. And of those men, a significant proportion have problems because of the location of the prostate.
Basically, the prostate is a gland that wraps around the urethra, and if you develop an enlarged prostate later in life, it can compress on the urethra and make it more difficult to pee, symptoms including a weaker flow of urine and having to go to the bathroom more often.
And I was doing a bit of drawing earlier when I was just waiting for you. I draw a lot for patients, actually, because I think it's very helpful. But I'm just going to show you.
Okay, so at this point, Dr. Collins draws for me a diagram of the shape and trajectory of the average urethra, and it's inside of a cartoony human midsection.
This is you, Maddie. This is you lying down. There's your bottom. There's your tummy up here, okay?
Uh-huh. It's quite accurate depiction of me, actually. Quick note for the listeners, obviously this is a podcast and you can't see the drawing, but I'll include it in the corresponding Substack for this episode on nosuchthing.show. Basically, the urethra does like a 30-degree angle turn inside and through your prostate. So if you imagine yourself peeing while standing up, the urethra kind of goes towards your back first before it makes that angled turn towards your front. And if you are an older man and you have an enlarged prostate, this condition BPH, that 30-degree angle becomes more like a 90-degree angle, and it makes it much more difficult to pass urine. And one way to make it easier to pass urine in that specific context is to sit down while you pee. I had a few more questions for him. The first one was, I just kind of wanted to know, like, the history, men peeing.
while they were standing up. Like, why did they pee while they were standing up? Why didn't they pee while they were sitting down? Like, way back in the day.
Who was the first man to stand up?
Who was the first brave soul? Or who was the first brave soul to sit?
Yeah.
That's probably the more accurate question.
That's true.
I think this is an evolutionary thing. It came to be the norm because, firstly, men could, right? So they were able to pee standing up. So if you're a hunter-gatherer and you're out stalking an elk or whatever you're stalking, or a buffalo, and you need a pee, well, if you were able to sort that out without particularly having to move too much, then you can carry on with your quest. So clearly, being able to pass urine standing up is a big advantage for them, no question about it. So I would say it evolved to become the norm.
So Dr. Collins made sure to tell me that that's just kind of his take. Like, he's a urologist and not necessarily a historian, but I think it makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
Especially you got to be more on your toes
practical.
back in the day. So just like
You're certainly not worried about contamination.
yeah,
Yeah,
same
you
way.
don't even know what that is.
just in your ready position at all times. It makes sense to be standing versus like sitting down, where you're a little less agile.
Finally, I asked him one final question. I asked him if he, as a urologist, recommends that men sit down while they pee.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't recommend it in general. If someone is doing it, okay, it doesn't bother me, but I don't think they need to do it.
So I was kind of surprised to hear this, right? Like, he's basically saying there is no medical benefit to sitting while you pee unless you have BPH, an enlarged prostate. And all of the initial articles that I came across when I was researching this at first took his words and kind of contorted them to mean that you should be sitting when you pee. And as you just heard, he simply does not recommend that.
I remember when these articles were coming out, I similarly was like, oh, wow, have I been peeing wrong my whole life? And it's just sort of like, no. I guess if I have an enlarged prostate, maybe I should sit my ass down.
Yeah.
But otherwise,
Will happen to all of us someday.
Choose your own adventure.
Now, that doesn't tell you anything about whether you should prefer to sit or
Yeah,
stand.
still no harm done.
Yeah, if you
Either
prefer
way.
it because it's more comfortable, you should absolutely continue to do so. And obviously, a lot of the world is moving in that direction.
What I wanted to hear from this conversation, is there anything bad about me sitting down?
Yeah.
And it sounds like his answer is no.
All right, Manny, how about you tell us about your experiment?
I sat while I peed for a week.
For a week? Wow.
You know, as much as I could while I was at home.
Yeah, not
and
home.
We're talking home peas.
this was also during my trip to Atlanta. So, like, when I'm in the hotel, I would sit.
Oh,
But
great.
outside of that, I would stand. Generally, my experience was that, I don't know. Like, I almost didn't know what to think. I was like, all right, this is nice, I guess, if you want to do it. Maybe if I like lit some candles in there or something. Like,
all right. Well, let's take us through a void session.
This is Manny. I am in my bathroom. I am needing to void, and I'm gonna do it sitting down. Definitely feels a little bit awkward at first, knowing that I don't have to defecate. I am here to urinate, and I am in a seated position. And here we go. Much quieter experience, obviously, but the noise level of a typical urination doesn't really bother me. I have just finished urinating, and I will kind of just remain on the toilet here to hang out, I guess. I'll be on I'll take a look at my phone. No texts, no notifications that are super urgent, and I'll be honest, I'm kind of fighting the urge not to get on out of here.
You're not taking advantage of this.
I wanted to kind of be in the moment. There were times when I would look at my phone or whatever.
Okay.
But it was hard to fight that urge not to just leave after I was done peeing.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess we just are going into the bathroom with different states of mind.
Yeah, it's interesting because in life, I don't see you as a person who rushes through life.
Well,
You're not like a slow person. You don't.
Yeah.
I don't think you have the traditional Ohio like, yo, hurry up.
Yeah.
But you're also not someone who has like a New York attitude about things. I think you're pretty go with the flow. You're a pretty relaxed, laid back guy. So it's interesting that when you get in the bathroom, you're on New York time. Like, hey, I got to get in. I got to get out.
One thing that sitting added to my experiences was thinking about this in general. And I think I realized that I'm using the bathroom. Anything I'm doing in the bathroom is I kind of see as a chore. And so I thought about it as like, okay, when I'm washing the dishes, I want to get that done as soon as possible.
You view using the bathroom as washing the dishes, like on the same level?
I think it's just like a thing I have to do.
Here we go again.
That is
Time to spend 40 seconds voiding.
Yeah. It's a thing that I have to do to move on with my day.
Wow. That's just, if I could opt out of washing dishes, just press a button, never have to wash a dish again, would do it tomorrow.
Yeah, I probably would opt out of peeing if I never had to do it.
That's crazy. I would not. I think it's such a nice break to your day. It's like it's like forced alone quiet time.
Yeah. I think I do appreciate the solitude of it.
Yes.
And that's part of why I like the sitting. You do get so used to just always having a podcast on or music or something.
Yep.
Where it's nice to sometimes be like
bored.
Whether I'm at home or even just like, I'm going to go do a chores, like run an errand.
Yep.
If it's a quick thing, like, maybe I don't need my headphones on.
Oh, that's scary.
Sitting while you pee in the bathroom ends up just being a good vehicle to get that done.
Just like doing it like a shower,
Yeah. With no music or
Get
anything
things flowing.
playing. Yeah.
I do like
about
a
that?
very long shower where I'm not doing
Just
anything.
your thoughts.
A pee is in some ways a mini shower.
Yes.
To some.
I think that's how we have to
We
end
don't
it.
need to go on, but
I think we're going to end the episode right there. I think.
All the girls standing in the line for the bathroom. All the girls standing in the line for the bathroom.
This was No Such Thing, produced by Manny, Noah, and Devin. The theme song is by me, Manny. Thank you to our guest, Dr. Gerald Collins. This question was submitted by a listener, so if you have a question that you want me and the boys to get to the bottom of, please shoot us an email at mannynoahdevin@gmail.com. And I want you to also do the following two things. Please subscribe to our Substack at nosuchthing.show and leave us 5 stars on whatever app you're listening to this on. See you next week.